The 7 Seals of Sacred History. The first of these phases of spiritual evolution in the world is represented by Abel, the first minister of the Father, who offered his sacrifice to God. He is the symbol of sacrifice. Envy rose up against him. The second stage was represented by Noah. He is the symbol of faith. He constructed the ark from divine inspiration and led men into it to reach salvation. Against him, the multitudes railed with doubt, mockery, and the paganism of their spirits. Yet Noah left his seed of faith. The third stage is represented by Jacob. He symbolizes strength. He is Israel the strong. Spiritually, he saw the ladder by which all of you will ascend to sit at the right hand of the Creator. The angel of the Lord rose up to test his strength and perseverance. The fourth is symbolized by Moses. He represents the law. He presented the tablets whereon it was written for the humanity of all times. It was he who, with his immense faith, rescued the people to lead them on the road of salvation to the promised land. He is the symbol of law. The fifth stage is represented by Jesus, the divine word, the sacrificial lamb. He who has spoken to you in all times, and who will continue speaking to you. He is love, for he was made man to inhabit the dwelling places of men, to suffer their pains, to show humanity the path of sacrifice, love, and charity, by which it must achieve redemption from all their sins. He came as a master to teach, to be born as part of humanity, to live in love, to achieve the sacrifice, and to die loving, forgiving, and blessing. He represents the fifth stage, and his symbol is love. The sixth stage is represented by Elijah, called Elias in the New Testament. He is the symbol of the Holy Spirit. It is he who goes on his chariot of fire, bearing light to all nations and all the worlds that are unknown to you, but known to me. For I am the Father of all the worlds and all the creatures. This is the stage in which you are living, that of Elijah. It is his light that illuminates you. He represents the teachings that were hidden, but that are being revealed to mankind in this era. The seventh stage is represented by the Father himself. He is the end, the culmination of evolution. In him is the stage of grace, the seventh seal. Here I have deciphered the mystery of the 7 seals. That is why I say to you that this is the 6th seal, for 5 of them have already passed. The 6th is unleashed. But the 7th remains sealed. The time for its contents has not yet arrived. There is time yet before that stage appears before you. When that stage arrives, there shall be grace, perfection, and peace. But oh, how much man will weep to purify his spirit. The book of the 7 seals is the history of your life, of your evolution on earth, with all its struggles, passions, conflicts, and finally, with the triumph of the good and justice, of love and spirituality over the passions of materialism. Believe truly that everything leads to a spiritual and eternal goal, so that you may give each lesson its rightful place that corresponds to it. While the light of the 6th seal illuminates you, it will be a time of conflict, of vigilance and purification. But when that period has passed, you will have reached a new stage, in which the 7th seal will open new revelations to you. With what satisfaction and joy will the new time be received by the Spirit, when it is surprised in a cleansed and prepared state. While the 6th seal illuminates you, flesh and spirit will be purified. The book that was sealed in the heavens has been opened to the 6th chapter. It is the book of the 7 seals, which contains wisdom and judgment, and which was unleashed by my love for you, to reveal to you its profound lessons. Man has lived for 5 stages on earth, encouraged by the divine breath of the Spirit, in spite of which he has been unable to understand the spiritual sense of life, the purpose of his existence, his destiny, and his essence. All was an impenetrable mystery for his mind, as well as to his spirit, a sealed book whose contents he could not interpret. He vaguely sensed the spiritual life, but without truly knowing the ladder of evolution that brings beings closer to God. He did not know of his highest mission on earth, and the virtues and gifts that form part of his spirit, in order to triumph in the struggles, to raise himself above human miseries, and perfect himself spiritually to inhabit the eternal light. It was necessary that the divine book be opened, and that men contemplate its contents, in order for them to be saved from the darkness of ignorance, that is the source of all the evils that exist on earth. Who could open that book? By chance a theologian, a scientist, or a philosopher? No, none of them, not even the righteous spirits, could reveal its content to you, for what the book kept within was the wisdom of God. Only Christ, the Word, only He, the divine love, could do so. But even so, it was necessary to wait for men to be ready to receive the divine revelation without being blinded by the splendor of my spiritual presence, and mankind had to live through 5 stages of trials, lessons, experience, and evolution in order to reach the fair development that permits them to understand the mysteries that the arcane of God keeps from men. The law of God, His divine word, given through Christ, and all the messages of the prophets, envoys, and emissaries, were the seed that maintained the faith of humanity in a divine promise that has always proclaimed light, salvation, and justice for all men. This is the time awaited for the great revelation, that through which you will understand all that I have shown you throughout the times, and so that you will know who your Father is, who you are, and the reason for your existence. This is the time in which, for the spiritual evolution you have achieved, the trials you have passed through, and the experience you have gathered, you may receive in your spirit that which comes from my spirit, the light of wisdom, reserved in my arcane, in wait for your preparation. Still, humanity having reached the grade of evolution necessary to receive my message, I have sent you the first ray of my light, that which has made the rude and simple men who serve as my spokesman speak in ecstasy through my inspiration. This ray of light has been only of preparation. It is like the pre-dawn light that announces the new day. Later, my light shall come to you fully, illuminating your existence, and dispelling even the last shadows of ignorance, sin, and misery. This era, whose dawn you admire in the infinite, is the 6th stage, initiated in the spiritual life of humanity, an era of light, of revelations, of fulfillment of the ancient prophecies and forgotten promises. It is the 6th seal. Upon its unleashing, overflowing with its content of wisdom, your spirit, in a message full of justice, clarification, and revelations. Disciples, I wish the virtues of your heart to be the vestment that covers the nakedness of your spirit. That is the comforting spirit, promised in the 2nd era, speaking to you. The Father knew already of the pain and trials that would bow humanity, and of the degree of perversity that men would reach. The arrival of the Comforter means for you the opening of the 6th seal, and the beginning of a new stage in the evolution of humanity. From that moment, a divine judgment was opened for all men. Each life, each work, each step is strictly judged. It is the end of an era, not the end of life. It is the end of the times of sin, and it is necessary that all the contents of the sixth seal of the Book of God be poured out into the spirits, weakening them from their lethargy, so that man rises up, bearing the harmony of his spirit with all of creation, and that he prepare for the unleashing of the seventh seal by the Lamb, which will bring the final dregs of the cup of bitterness, but also the triumph of truth, love, and divine justice. In this era, I wish humanity to prepare, so that when the last seal is opened, men realize it, listen to it, and understand the content of the new revelations. I wish the nations and peoples to strengthen themselves to withstand the bitterness of those days. Those who know how to pass the tests of those times, I shall call blessed, and I shall give them a reward for their perseverance and their faith in my power, leaving them as the parents of a new humanity. When the seventh seal has been closed, together with the other six, the book that has been the judgment of God on the works of men, from the first to the last, will also be closed. Then the Lord will open another book, its pages blank, to note in it the resurrection of the dead, the liberation of the oppressed, the regeneration of the sinners, and the triumph of good over evil.